What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are having a good night. It's almost midnight over here, but still got to get this working. Don't mind the background. I'm working on an animation, hopefully to come out in 2 weeks. Speaking of animation, please, if you haven't, go sub to my animation channel, link in the description, and also go sub to my other channel, which is like archive videos that used to be here. That used to be on this channel, dealing with art and some, gems I be dropping. Just go check it out. All right, that's enough talking. So in today's video, we are going to be reacting to a video by the YouTuber So You Think I'm Stupid, and his video is titled The Performative Male Pandemic. Now, I did not know until recently, actually until the last video I reacted to, that there was such a thing called the performative male. Apparently, that's a term. I got an idea of what it is from my last reaction, but let's look into this video and see if we get some more detail or the origins of how this came to be. All right, let's check it out.
So y'all know how we group people into archetypes based on their lifestyle and behavior patterns as a means of having a general understanding of what kind of person they are? You got the gym bro with their shaker bottles, bulky headphones, David Late gym motivation workout playlists, and wardrobe consisting solely of pump cover hoodies, tank tops, 5-inch cut shorts, and joggers. You got the Visco girls with their scrunchies, oversized t-shirts, Birkenstocks, hydro flasks, and metal straws. You got the SoCal Asians with their baggy jeans and cropped t-shirts who love keshi, raving, and camping out at seaside. If life was an MMO, these are basically the equivalent of classes, and there are a ton of classes people can play as.
The more things change, the more things stay the same. Even through generations, grouping and community has always been a very prevalent thing throughout society. He just literally broke down like 3 groups of people that identify as something. So it's very interesting how I do believe that we are in a society where everybody tries to seem so unique or very creative in a very unique sense, but there's still this longing for community and belonging to a group. Just a quick observation I just made.
With some having more notoriety than others. Anyways, it seems like a new update to life has dropped, cause there's a new class archetype that's in making waves on mainstream media, and it is known as the performative male. But what is the performative male? For those that don't know, let's shed some light on this classification of guys and what it can reveal about the mental state our generation is at. Let me throw some buzzwords that might give you an idea about what a performative male
Already see the matcha over there.
is. 4 a.m., cold showers, atomic habits, matcha, male manipulators hiding their colors behind a soft boy aesthetic to make them appear less threatening, highly active social media accounts with posts and stories that romanticize their lives while in reality, these are all mechanisms to hide from the truth they're afraid to face. There's a difference between choosing to live a life for yourself and for the short-term gratification of external validation and status. Generally speaking, a performative male is a guy that aligns his behaviors and lifestyle with what will be rewarded by society. The catch is that he isn't doing it from his own intrinsic desire. He's doing it to get the validation and approval of others. Now,
I think that's very, very interesting. So I'm hearing this common thread that these performative males almost are like chameleons. They disguise themselves as this archetype of male that women will find very attractive, not even in terms of improving yourself, but just like changing your mindset to acquiesce to a certain group of people, whether it's how you dress, being a soft boy, like a soy boy, a femboy. Like pretty much that's what I'm getting from this performative male phenomenon. I don't think half of the people that portray themselves like that really believe in what they're trying to do. I think they're just doing it for the validation, like my man said over here. I 1000% agree with that. They're just being performative for validation, external validation, because why else would you be so intent on showing people how you are as a male, or going out of your way to point these specific things that might not be very normal as a male, but you want to point those things out because you've heard external factors say that they wish males could be like this, and that. I don't know.
Now, this isn't necessarily a new concept. Performative males have been around since the olden days, even older than Intel Pentium processors, and their behavior patterns adapt to the ebbs and flows of socio-cultural shifts. I think the iteration of a performative male that most people are aware of is the hypermasculine red-pilled alpha male, ushered in by a particular man with a shiny head.
Okay, well, that was definitely not what I was thinking, but that is technically a performative male. The one I was thinking about is the one who actually goes out of their way to look soft, purposely, like intentionally.
But nowadays, the most recent iteration of a performative male is quite different. And I think the reason why this version is making waves online right now is because it's the complete opposite of the red-pilled
Okay, he's getting to it. Yes, that is true. That is true. And I guess I didn't even put this together when I was saying they go out of their way to portray themselves a certain way because external factors have said they wish men were like this, and this. That is the direct cause. It's a direct cause based on the red pill, the hypermasculine male. So the response to that is to almost overcorrect, and that's where we're at. Okay, this is starting to, this is starting to connect. I'm understanding what he's trying to put down.
Hypermasculine alpha male, and yet at its core it still stems from the same deep-rooted issues. It's essentially a reskin. Furthermore, it seems like everyone knows at least one person that acts in this way, and it's so cliche and cookie cutter that it's kinda humorous. What's more gratifying than putting a label to a collective experience everyone's had while exposing behavior that people are getting tired of seeing? Where's the individuality? So what is this iteration of a performative male that's making waves online right now? The most recent iteration of a performative male was born as a pushback against the red-pilled hypermasculine alpha male ideology. Guys noticed that women were in fact not impressed by an excessively macho man that puffs his chest and
That's not true.
acts bigger than he really is. And
I mean, that's what they say, but I think it bears out that that's not true.
so guys embodied something different to separate them from that crowd because they didn't want to be associated with those kind of people. And well, what's the opposite of a man that's overly aggressive and nearly tyrannical in his temperament? How about a chill, nonchalant guy that's completely unbothered? That's pretty refreshing, right? Why is he so unbothered? Is it because he's just in a constant state of zen that life's inconveniences don't affect him? That sounds like he's in a healthy state of mind. Instead of a guy who's hyper-masculine, what about a guy that's in touch with his femininity? He has a tote bag that's accessorized with cute Labubu or Mishi keychains.
Why am I hearing this term Labubu? It's like, this is the second video I'm reacting to that I'm hearing Labubu. This Labubu phenomenon is very interesting.
And is very stylish with his fashion sense. He loves music and discovering indie artists, but he has a handful of artists he always goes back to, Biba Doobie and Claro. He's even aware of his star sign. He's a Virgo, as a matter of fact. His Instagram is also very aesthetic, which suggests he has an eye for beauty and making himself look.
In other words, he's a feminine individual. Like, there's nothing wrong with being or having interest in being aesthetic, but I think when you overdo it, like this overcorrectness, almost becoming so flamboyant with what you're doing, and it's not really what you are, you're just trying to perform to the masses to get likes. It's cringe. It's very corny, and I think it's actually very common these days. You just go through your Instagram and just see somebody who's probably 25 and below and see how they dress. They all dress alike. The baggy pants and the faded out t-shirt, and they're almost trying to modernize the early 2000s style of dressing, which is very interesting because they're trying to dress like how people used to dress, how we used to dress back in early 2000s, but then turn around and call the people who were, old enough back then unk. Why are you trying to steal from the style if you just gonna call us unk? If we so unk, why are you down with the fashion? You know what I'm saying? But it's not even just the clothes. It's just their mannerisms, their postures, the way they just comport themselves is not masculine. It is literally the opposite, like he said, because there's this delusion that these dudes have that women actually prefer these over feminine men. I think there's a balance with everything. So they maybe don't want the overly masculine dude, but I don't think they want the overly feminine dude as well. I think they would want a more masculine dude than a more feminine dude. So I don't think this performative male thing actually helps guys out in the long run. It might get you like, following, and you will probably get some form of like sponsorship because you can dress or you have this fashion sense. So I mean, that, I guess that could be a positive that comes out of it, right?
Presentable. To top it off, his hobbies are also very healthy. He likes keeping active, whether that be going to the gym, running, or bouldering, as well as going to cafes to read self-improvement books like Atomic Habits or 48 Laws of Power while sipping on matcha. But for whatever reason, he seems to make a showing out of the things he's doing, like he wants everyone to know. Thus, the most recent iteration of the performative male was born. But here's the kicker. What many people have realized with their experiences is that this is all a performance to become more likable, especially with women. He doesn't care about star signs. He just wants to have a talking point that he can easily bring up when
Facts, because all you just got to do is sell women on a dream. Just sell them on what they want to hear. That's it. So if that's what the game is, they're going to acquiesce to it, these performative males, because they're going to acquiesce to what women say they want. And they don't know at the end of the day, they're just going to get friend zoned because they come off as a friend, not as somebody who's interested in these girls that they're trying to pursue.
Talking with girls so that they warm up to him easier. You think he actually reads Atomic Habits to learn how to better manage his time? Nah, he's doing it to show to others that he's a disciplined and growth-oriented person who has his shit together. Sometimes, these behaviors are done in such a performative way, it comes off as trying too hard. The facade lures people in, and those that are caught within the performative male's grasp are exposed to what's beneath the mask. A highly insecure man that will do anything to satisfy his own ego, even if it's at the expense of others. He pulls you in with his facade, gains your trust, and takes advantage of it. He manipulates. He brings others down instead of lifting them up. He makes you feel like the problem. He pulls the rug from underneath you. He hides his true colors behind a performance. And people are catching on to this lack of authenticity and are calling it out. And so what people will realize is that these aesthetic fashion MFs and the red-pilled alpha males that preceded them aren't so different after all. At the core, the obsessive leaning towards these particular behavior patterns stems from a lack of self-security. Behind all the tote bags, labubus, and matchas, or the turbocharged sport cars, Rolexes, and bulging muscles, is a deeply hurt man clinging onto behaviors that have rewarded him with the love and validation he is so deeply starved for. Because they do work to give attention and validation to a certain extent, right? If it didn't receive attention, it wouldn't be going viral to begin with. What I find kinda sad about this is that it reveals a deeper issue about our generation and culture. Behaviors rewarded are behaviors reinforced. And the fact that a lot of people feel the need to put up a performance is very telling of how important of a role appearances and performances plays in our society. Because let's be real, society rewards and glorifies attractive appearances and good performances. It places these things on a pedestal for everyone to worship and strive for, while punishing and ridiculing anything less. But here's the consequence. Instead of people striving for these things as a means of self-growth and development, they've been brainwashed into seeing themselves as fundamentally flawed and broken products. And they've come to believe that these things are the missing pieces that will fix them and make them whole again. And thus spawns a generation of deeply insecure people who feel the need to hide behind a mask of superiority.
There's actually a deeper thing to this as well. I don't know if you guys remember that there was this whole period where it felt like everybody was depressed. Everybody was emotionally like traumatized. There's the emo era. I think that's what birthed these specific set of performative males, because when you're so in tune with your emotions and your feelings, and sometimes it's so irrational that you just think you're depressed when you're actually just lazy or you're not getting enough sunlight, you start to let that feeling become your identity. So you associate yourself with sadness, loneliness, and overall trauma that you start to reflect it in everything you do. So even with the whole performative males that are aesthetically, they dress aesthetically pleasing and they do all that performative act to get the interest of women, I think eventually they start buying into their own delusion and they eventually lose who they are. Because if they're doing this as a front to get a girl, and if they do it for so long, they can get lost in that character. And it's the psychological ramifications of that is because you don't know how to act, like you don't know how to be yourself. in a confident way. You have to portray yourself as a character because you yourself are not confident and you don't like who you are personally, so you like this character you've made. It's like a whole cyclical thing and is deeper than just the surface, you know? Not to get deep on y'all, but I just think that that's where we're at.
Because they are afraid of being punished for showing the not so pretty or competent sides to them. Not to mention, being exposed to an overabundance of high performers and attractive people online as a result of social media further exacerbates this problem and feeds the insecurity. Because being constantly exposed to only the perfect sides of people makes you feel like you're the only one who doesn't have it together, and it's terrifying being rejected as the outcast. Though the issue isn't gender exclusive, I think the reason for why it's especially prominent in guys is that men are kinda the punching bag of this day and age. They've been told that they were the oppressors, the ones that caused all of society's problems, and as a result are getting their just desserts. They've been told that they need to step up, do better, be a man, but don't be a man because men are problematic. Be masculine, but not overly masculine. Take control, but don't be controlling.
Man, isn't this the truth? I didn't even ever think about this part. It's an added on thing. So you think about being in this constant state of having to show and improve. You will get lost because you don't even know what's up and what's down. If you're easily manipulated by what social media is telling you and what society is telling you, and you're a person who's not confident in who you are, that you always have to present this character to acquiesce the people that you are trying to impress. If they're telling you be masculine, but don't be too masculine, if they're telling you to do better, but you're not doing better when you try to do better, and you're constantly getting fed these like negative feedback and negative reinforcements, how are you gonna know who you are? Because you're not you. You're this character trying to live up to these statements. It's just weird. Like for these dudes, it feels like they're just in a constant state of being in limbo.
It seems like no matter what a guy does, he's given shit for it. And so it's no surprise that guys are at a loss for how to act and are afraid to be themselves. As a result, they hide behind the safety and comfort of a performative mask that society reinforces. And so if we want people to stop being fake, we have to stop punishing them for being real. Everyone preaches and boasts about wanting the complete package or being the complete package themselves, while bashing those that are a work in progress or are in the process of getting it together. Not many people know how to be real because they're not given a safe space to discover, express, and practice who they are.
Literally said in so many words what I just said a couple minutes ago. People are not able to be themselves because they're constantly in a character. They don't know who they are. They will get lost in that character and they forget to be who they are.
Unfortunate about this circumstance is that it groups insecure people that want to be loved with the toxic predatory people that are trying to win someone's trust to take advantage of them, because performative acts may stem from both malicious intent as well as innocent but flawed thinking due to not knowing any better. I also kind of feel bad for the people that genuinely enjoy the things people label performative nowadays. The people doing it for clout and validation are giving them a bad reputation. It's almost like a witch hunt where people will try to find something performative in just about anything. Like, oh, he eats clean? How performative? He shoves matcha up his ass? How performative?
Yeah.
Like, bro, not everything is performative. Some people just like what they like. Everyone's just got hella trust issues from their own experiences, and social media kind of acts as an echo chamber that further exacerbates it. The silver lining in all this is that these viral trends bashing on these behaviors shows that people are getting tired of the performative acts that are purely designed to get something out of them. People are craving authenticity and genuine people, especially because it's hard to come by nowadays. There's a market for being real, and it's quite high in demand. On the other side of the coin, the people that are doing things purely out of the fact that society is telling them to do so are noticing that something's off and that they feel empty. They're slowly coming to the realization that they're not living a life that they want to, but instead are living a life they were told to live. And that mismatch in their internal compass is building up fatigue and burnout that will eventually make them question whether there's more to life. And there is, because once you start living in attunement with who you are, will you truly feel alive. There isn't much of a lesson this time around. I kind of just want to talk a little bit about some of the things I've observed about our generation and culture.
All right, we're gonna end it right there. Let me know what you guys thought about the video. I think what he said is very interesting. I didn't even know this is where the video was gonna go. I thought it was gonna just be making jokes on the femboys, but he took it a whole different route. And I do think there's a lot of gems he kind of dropped, and some things to just like take into consideration if you are thinking to be a performative male. Let me know what you thought about the video. Full link of this video will be in the description. We'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time, peace, God bless.